I'm glad to be leaving swampland, where it's humid nonstop. I don't get why people who are not natively, indigenously tropical would want to live here. It's torture. So I'm going to drive back up to the south, to Georgia now. So I'm here in White Springs, Florida. I came for a little picnic, and then as I'm preparing my lunch, this older man in jeans and boots and plaid and a cap, he comes by, and I'm thinking, I don't want to talk to anyone. But then I thought, maybe this is sea bass, and he's going to tell me to get out of these parts. Turns out his name is T-Bass, so he's not quite sea bass. He was very friendly. We had a nice chat. The main topic of discussion was how low the river is. And it seems like the river is an integral part of the town. One thing about him is that he was just very content staring at the river. And I'm staring at it too. I'm like, that's what can entertain you? And I'm over here whenever I have a picnic, I have to pull up my YouTube and watch some kind of clip or read something. But he was just really cool. I could feel no tension, no stress in T-Bass. He was about 65 or so. Just his movements were really slow. He had a drawl. He referred to a woman in his life as the old lady. I think that's his wife. He said, I reckon, a few times. This is like the first time I met a southern country man. And I told T-Bass that I want to go in the deep south and meet sea bass. And he looked at me and he said, they're not going to have, no, how do you say it? They won't have anything to do with you. That's what he said. I'm like, no, I want to meet sea bass. So, but I got to meet T-Bass, and one thing I learned from T-Bass is that my mind is messed up because I need entertainment constantly. Even me, I think I'm above that, but no, sea bass, he just needs that lake. That's all he needs. I need moving images on a screen. I need to record myself on video. But T-Bass, you will never encounter this T-Bass. He's not on YouTube. And that's maybe how it should be. That's how a normal person is. They don't have to broadcast or be absorbed into the world. So in these parts, you don't need a lot of information to get by. You just need the river. And he had a lot of land, and that was cool. So thank you, God, for sending me T-Bass. I learned something about myself. Now onward to Georgia. Ouch. I'm in Thomasville, Georgia. Definitely a southern city. People here, they move slow and they talk slow. You don't feel a lot of that big city stress and anxiety. I went in the downtown area and a black man said hi to me. And then 10 seconds after that, there was another black man that was walking up, and I thought, if that black man says hi to me too, something's going on. Sure enough, that black man said hi to me. And a few others too, so the black people here are very nice. And there was one guy who was driving an old car, and the music was really loud. He had that hip hop. But then as soon as he got on the main street, he turned it down. And in Washington, D.C., the opposite would have happened. He would have turned it up so everyone can hear the wonderful music that he is listening to. There were a lot of white high school kids who weren't paused out with like green hair, weird piercings, punk style, like normal white kids. I haven't seen that ever. They were just at the coffee shop, meeting in groups, dressed normally, acting respectfully, and that isn't common. I don't see that often. Other than that, the thing about the South is that just going in the downtown area, you're not going to really get the full taste. You have to go in people's houses, how they live. You have to go on their homesteads, their plantations. That's, I think, where the Southern culture really lies. But the downtown is just where they drop in to buy something, or it's a place for the tourists like me to get a feeling of the South. But that's all it can give you, just a little feeling. But when you're only here for a day or two, that's the best that you can do. Then I came to Pebble Hill Plantation. That's where I am now. And this is a 3,000 acre plantation, started in the 1820s. And they had about 20 slaves, so this place doesn't really talk about it. I had to go online. They had some slaves. Then after the Civil War, it turned into a resort. Oh, I think that's a woodpecker. Hold on one second. Oh. Ooh, what is that? Could be a downy woodpecker. Anyway, after Civil War, it became like a hunting plantation, a resort for rich people up north to come down. And you saw the beautiful southern architecture. Yes, I was watching the great egret hunt. He's actually over there. I don't know if you can see him, but there is a great egret looking for lunch. He's picking the little fishes. So I was watching him hunt. And I used to hunt too, but I don't anymore. But one thing I can say about slavery ending, has it really ended? Instead of being a slave to one master in the plantation, now we're a slave to the banks. We're a slave to sex, to sin, to alcohol, to drugs, to entertainment. And all these people who give us these things, the money and the pleasures, they're serving the will of Satan. So we are slaves to people who are serving the will of Satan. In the old days, I guess you were a slave, hopefully, if you were lucky. You were a slave to a man who was serving the will of God. I'd rather be a slave to a man serving the will of God than a slave to the pleasures that have been programmed into me since I was a child. That's what I did for a long time. Everyone now, they think they are free, but why do they keep choosing the wrong thing? Why do they keep living in the wrong way? So they are doing exactly as slaves what they are supposed to do. And that's a shame. In the Bible, The word servant is not actually the correct translation. Like a servant, like you're supposed to be a servant to God. If you look at the Greek, I'm told that it's actually slave. So you're supposed to be a slave to God, but through your own free will, you can pick that. But the Protestants kind of softened it up because of the connotations that slavery had. But you're either a slave to Satan or a slave to God. That's it. There is no middle ground. You're either transitioning from one to the other. And I hope that I have fully transitioned from a slave of Satan and all of his representatives on earth. And in most cases, for me, that came in the form of sexy women. So a slave to Satan, to a slave to God, that I chose. I choose to be a slave to God because I know he has his best interests in me. If you're going to pick a master, pick God, because he cares about you. So that's it for Thomasville, and now I head north as I inch closer to Atlanta. I'm in Americus, Georgia, founded by John Americus Smith in around the 1830s. And he came here, he bought some land. It was completely empty space. He bought some land and made a cotton plantation, and it went so well that they built a town around his economic engine. And a lot of towns and counties in the South are started like that by an industrious man who wanted to make his mark. And what gets me is that back then a man could start a town, but today men can't even start their own lives. And I am a good example of that. Men in their 20s, 30s, even 40s have the maturity of a child. They just want their candy every day. They want to gorge on sweets every day. But here you have men that weren't that old, just bought some land and started to work. And what happened to us? If I can just start my own home, just a couple acres, that would be great. But start a town, I mean, I can't even imagine the maturity level that you need in order to do that. But in this town, everyone is nice. Everyone is very friendly, white or black. I was at the supermarket and a 30-year-old white woman referred to me as sir. And I don't think that's ever happened. And they are all polite in their southern accent, so it's quite a charming place. If I had to live in a diverse place, I would want it to be in the South, because at least the people are friendly. You know, a lot of times I don't want to go outside and have to deal with people at the store. And especially in the Washington, D.C. area, you don't know what kind of people these are. They're from all over the world, and some don't speak English. But here, at least, you know that when you're dealing with people, they're going to be nice to you. So I think that is a plus. I would be more of a people person if I lived in a small town in Georgia. So now I keep going north, and Atlanta is next. I am in Atlanta, Georgia at a hotel that allows you to open the windows. One of the few hotels, because they're so cheap, they lock the windows so you don't open them and use the AC at the same time. So it feels like you're in this hermetically sealed box, a jail. And I'm getting a little bit tired of that. So what is Atlanta, Georgia like? It really reminds me of Washington, D.C. before the homosexuals invaded it, starting in the early 2000s. It has the same demographic mix, a lot of black people. I wasn't shocked at all. I mean, I wasn't, whoa, there's a lot of blacks. No, I mean, I've seen this. I grew up for the first 20 years of my life, I grew up in a neighborhood that was predominantly black, actually. So one good thing is that the blacks in Atlanta are not as aggro. They don't have this massive chip on their shoulder like the northeastern blacks. I don't feel like they are giving me any kind of attitude. They're not trying to take over the street instead of using the sidewalk. I'm sure if I go to a bad neighborhood here, I will encounter that. But just staying here for a couple of days, I didn't have a bad experience. I mean, everyone in Georgia is just calmer. They're just more calm. Whites are more calm, blacks are more calm, people are more pleasant. A lot of people smiled at me. A black person complimented me on my beard. So it's really, I'd rather live in Atlanta than some of these West Coast cities like Seattle, LA, San Francisco, Portland. Here it's just, this city reminds me of what I know, and I can navigate through a city with a demographic such as this. I didn't see, while there was a lot of gay flags I saw, it wasn't these obvious gays that, were just loud and so on. So it's a little bit calmer here. That's, I think, what the main idea, this is the feel that I get from the South. So the two neighborhoods I visited were Midtown and East Atlanta Village. Midtown is kind of the hip area where Georgia Tech is, and there you get a lot of the global homo, a lot of the gay stuff. The sidewalk, the crosswalk was painted in the gay colors, and to protest, I didn't walk directly over it. I walked around it. So that's how I show them. It has, all the modern amenities a atomized person wants. They have all the shops, the bars, the cookie bakery, and on and on. And the East Atlanta Village is where the hipsters get put out to pasture. It's really, really hipsterized. And it's kind of like a little Austin in Georgia. And, people here they were obsessed with Pabst Blue Ribbon beer, this blue collar beer. And I didn't know that drinking PBR as a hipster is still a meme. We had that in DC a long time ago. But it wasn't that bad. I didn't see as many of the gay stuff, and it's more of the same. If you are a liberal hipster, your neighborhood is going to look like the same as the liberal hipsters in that town and that town. So I don't know if I'm just numb or if it was actually very bad, but I'm kind of used to this. One thing, if you're coming to Georgia, I have to inform you that they have a different word for sides. So when you get sides from your steak, maybe you want fries. Here, the word they use is trimmings. So be aware, trimmings means side orders. That's what I learned. I would say that the best part of my stay in Atlanta is the time of year I'm coming, where the leaves are changing colors to this beautiful orange and red. And there's a lot of trees here, actually. So it was pretty good. It didn't have a naked feel, kind of like what Houston had. And lastly, my event, it went well, but I've been struggling the past couple of days. I've hit a bottom that exceeded the previous bottom. I'm getting a lot of minor aches and ailments. Some bed bugs got me. On the day of the talk, I woke up, I was dizzy. I didn't want to stand up. I didn't want to talk. And I told myself that if I have to faint in front of the audience, then that's what it's going to be. I'm either going to finish this or I'm going to collapse. And so now that event is done, I just have two more left. I don't believe I did 21. And a lot of people have started to ask me, what is the best places you have been to and the best cities? But honestly, right now, my brain is just a fog. I'm confused. I'm lost. And I think after everything is done, I can sit still for a while and then start to process it, because there's a lot of data that's swimming in my mind, and I'm just focused, just trying to finish. But the good news is I don't have a lot of driving the next couple of weeks in terms of how much I have to drive each day. So I think I can get through it. Just 2 more weeks left, and I don't believe I've been on the road for this long. I just want to sit down. I just want to not move. But hey, this is what I got myself into, and I want to finish it. So I think I will, hopefully. I didn't go to church because I was just so tired and beat up, and there isn't an Armenian church here. So Yeah, that's that. And so overall, Atlanta wasn't that bad. I mean, people gave me the impression that it's like a slum, a ghetto, but yeah, the black population is really high, but it's not the bad blacks from what I can see. And the people here are nice. It seems like a more livable place than a lot of the West Coast. So now I go a little bit towards the west because there's someone I have to meet, and his name is Seabass. So I'm going back to Alabama and then up to Tennessee. So if you want to join in my last two talks in Nashville and Charlotte, go to Roosh.life. All right, bye.